Hello everyone, this is Richard Eaton, your CTEC 134 Database Administration instructor. This video introduces you to creating queries to extract information from your database. There are going to be several assignments that deal with creating queries. This first one is a fairly simple one where we deal with just single table queries, and we have some pretty simple examples. I want to show you the assignment in Canvas before we get going on this. So I already have Canvas running here. The week 5 assignment has a couple of parts, as most of them do. The first part asks you to answer some questions in the Database Administration Fundamentals textbook using a word processor. And the second part then asks you to move to SQL Server and construct some queries. And this is the instructions for that. And I'm giving you some examples of how I want this SQL script to be formatted. It starts off saying that we should have a comment here identifying what the assignment is, and then we should have our SQL statements followed, and each question that you answer or each query that you answer should be documented as to what they actually are doing. So in this case, in this example, I have a comment that says number 1, list item number description, price for all items. And then below that, I actually write the SQL command to do it. And then I move on to the second question and the actual SQL script to accomplish that. And then you'll end up saving it as an SQL file. And when you're done, you'll be submitting 2 files for this assignment, a word processing document for this top part here, and a single SQL file for the queries, okay? In SQL, in the intro section, I have explained here what we're doing, and I explain in this intro that I'm going to use a different database for demonstrating query concepts. I'm going to be using the Solmeris database. It was the week 3 assignment that you have, but I want I'm using my version of the Solmeris database, and then I have also included my solutions to all 16 of the queries regarding the Solmeris database that you find in the textbook starting on page 131. I want to use my version to demonstrate the queries and I want you to use my version, because these queries that I've included here probably won't work exactly right with your version, because there will be some differences in the file names that you used and the column names that you used and the data types that you used. So loading this database, the Solmeris database, and loading this script is not actually necessary for watching this video. But I recommend that at some point in time you do load this database and load the script and look at it and learn from it and use the concepts from these queries to actually answer the queries regarding the TAL database. So enough said about the assignment. I want to move on to SQL Server. I've already got SQL Server loaded, and I've already run the script that actually creates the Solmeris database. So I'm seeing it right here. And this script right here actually answers all 16 questions. And I have selected some of them, about 6 or 7 of these, to discuss in this particular video. We'll see how far I get in this discussion, and if I feel like the video is running too long, I'll close it down and I'll create a part 2. So to start this assignment, you're going to create a new query. Okay. Click this button right here and create a new query. And you're going to be using the TAL distributors _ RIC database. But for this exercise, I'm going to be using the Solmeris database. So I would say I'll click a new query and start off with a comment describing what this particular script does. And over in my instructions in Canvas, I say that we should probably call it something like this. I'll just copy and paste it here. So I called it GSQL TAL distributors exercises numbers 1 through 10, and then my name. And of course, we know that we're going to probably start with use and then name the database that we're going to use. And I'm going to use this one, Solmeris RIC, for this exercise. I started typing Solmeris and it popped up automatically. So I can just double click on it and I'll put in a go statement here just to be safe. We can go ahead and run that now and make sure that's successful. And it was successful. We don't have to run this. When we create all of our queries in this one script, we don't have to keep running this. We only have to run it once. The first question located on page 131 of the database says to list the owner number, last name, first name of every condo owner. And so you would just type in a comment and start saying, list the blah, 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 blah. To make this go faster, I'm going to go to the script that I've already created, and I've already typed in those descriptions, and I'm going to do Control-C to copy it, go back to my script and do Control-V. So now I've got my comment, and I see I've misspelled owner. Now what I need to do is actually type the command to create a list with this criteria. And if I look at this, it says here I want an owner number, a last name, a first name from the condo owner. I would recommend that what you do here is this: you expand the database, which I've done here, and expand tables. And if you look at these tables, you would probably assume that what we're looking for is in this table owner, which is true. I would recommend that you expand that and you expand columns. So now you can see a list of the actual column names that are used in the database, because you're going to be needing to type those. The command is select. Normally then, after the word select, you type in things like your column names, and then a from statement, and then you type in a table name, and you may in some cases have a where condition, and you type in your where condition. So the syntax for all the select statements is select, list your column names, from, list your table name, where, and list your selection criteria. In this case, we don't have any selection criteria, so all we have to do is list the column names and the table name. And so what is the name of the owner number? Well, I don't quite remember. So what I would do is say, I don't remember what the owner name is. So I'll expand columns and I see, oh, owner num right here. If I start typing owner num, I see a list of values pop up automatically, and then I can just double click on it, or I can just finish typing owner num. But I want to type owner num, and now I want, it says the last name, and that happens to be called last name. I'm just going to start typing last name, comma, and I want a first name, and that's all I need. But now I need to say from and specify the table name, and that's TBL owner, and a semicolon. So if we look at this, I put the from down on a new line because it's going to be easier to read. When the queries get fairly lengthy, they could be difficult to read if you put them all on one line. So you want to hold on. So somebody's at my front door. Hold on here. Okay, I answered the front door. So this particular statement is pretty simple. I specified the three columns, and they all come from the same table, TBL owner. If I click anywhere, in, like say at the beginning of the script, and say execute, it'll keep rerunning this Solmeris Rick go command, but we don't really need to do that every time. I'm just going to select what I want to run. I just want to run that. And so I'm going to execute it. And I got some output. What you should do at this point in time, you should go look at the sample output. Maybe you want to use the textbook, and you want to see that list of owners in the textbook. You might want to count to see how many there are, and you would count the number of records in the owner table, and you say there are 12 of them, and sure enough, they match my query, and I have 12. So I'm confident that this is correct now. At this point, I would save this query. So I'm going to click the Save button. And since this is the first time I'm saving it, I'm going to specify, I'm going to have to point to where I want to save it. You might use a flash drive. You might use your local hard drive, whatever. I'll go down to my flash drive, my CTEC 134, and I'm going to go put mine in a temp directory because I'm not personally going to save these because I already have them saved. And so I'm in my temp directory. I might call this something like week 5 SQL assignment. Whatever. And I'm not going to put .sql on it because it's going to save that automatically. So now in my temp directory on my flash drive, I have saved what I've got going here right now. I want to now look at the second question on page 132. Excuse me, page 131, and it says to list the complete location table, all rows and columns. And to speed up the typing, I'm just going to go ahead and copy it from the one I already have, Control C, Control V, and there we go. It says list the complete location table. Well, what's the location table? That's this one right here. If I expand the location table, I expand columns, I see I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. We know that the command here is select, and then we list column names. I could type all 6 column names here, but there's a fast way to do it, and that's what I want you to use in this particular exercise. The asterisk is a wild card. The asterisk says select everything. Okay, select everything. I could say, since this is very simple, I could put the from on the same line and specify the table name, TBL location, and a semicolon. Now I'm going to test that. Highlight it and execute it. Well, I do know that there are only 2 records in the location table, and these are all the tables. So that's done. Let's do one more, and then we'll pause this video and pick it up. The next one I want to show you is question number 3. Question number 3 asks you, I'll copy it first, Control C, come over here, Control V. Of course, you're going to have to type these in yourself when you do the TAL database. You'll be typing in these lists yourself. List the last name, first name of every owner who lives in Bowton. Well, in this case, we're going to have to use some actual a where clause because we have some selection criteria. So what table will this come from? Probably from the owner table. Right? Here are the columns. And here are my column names. And it says to list the last name and first name. So I want to use last name and first name here of every owner who lives in Bowtown. And so I want to reference this city. So we know we're going to start with a select command. By the way, do you notice that I have been typing the command select and from, and I'm going to type the word where all in uppercase letters because these are SQL commands, and you should identify the SQL commands with uppercase letters and your own objects with upper and lowercase letters. So select is a command, so it's in uppercase letters. I want to use last name, and I want to use first name. And I'm going to go down. I'm going to say I want it to be from TBL owner. Now I want to use a where clause. I want to type in where, it's in uppercase letters because that is an SQL command, and I want to reference the column city. So I'm going to type in city equals, and it should be Bolton. And since city is a character field, since it's a character field, we have to put quotes around it. BOWTON quote, semicolon. If it were a numeric value, we wouldn't put quotes around it, but this is a character value, so we put quotes around it. Now we test it. See, does this work? Sure. I don't know from looking at these two if these two owners are actually in Bolton. I could look, of course, in the textbook. I think what would be actually a little bit simpler would be just actually include the city up here as well. Even though it didn't ask for it, it might not be a bad idea to put that in. Execute. And sure enough, it's only Bolton. So I have the first three done. I'm going to save this. I'm going to shut this video down right now and start a part 2 so we can continue our discussion.